Crunch the Rockdog is the episode that made me a My Little Pony fan. This episode really stuck out for me, as did Wind Whistler. Even when I forgot about My Little Pony after the Disney Channel started ditching cartoons to become Buena Vista's dumping ground, this episode stuck in my memory. When I rediscovered the original series just before Friendship is Magic hit the air, I immediately searched for this episode. This, in my opinion, is the best My Little Pony episode ever in terms of writing. The only real problem I have with this episode is its length at a puny 2 parts. The end of Flutter Valley getting 10 parts to be about nothing, and the Glass Princess getting 4 parts to be moronic, while this gem only gets 2 episodes is a disgrace. Our episode opens with 2 random ponies running for their lives through a desert with a dust cloud chasing after them. You might be wondering what's so scary or dangerous about a dust cloud, but this is G1 My Little Pony. Everything wants to kill them. It might even be that cloud monster from Star Trek to eat your blood. One of these ponies was meant to be a male, however the animators seem to have gotten confused about which is which, as the more masculine looking pony is actually the mare, and the more feminine looking pony is actually the stallion. The stallion runs off to wherever, as Paradise's narration tells us Valentine, the mare, stays to face the killer cloud. We cut to Paradise finishing up reading with Megan, Danny, and some of the ponies listening. The baby ponies burst out crying. Nice going, Paradise. Read them a tearjerker before bed. What, did you plan for them to cry themselves to sleep? However, the reason I love this episode is Wind Whistler, the perennial best pony.
Why would Valentine's friend gallop away at sunset?
Huh?
It is illogical to begin a long journey just as the sun is setting.
Who cares what the sun was doing when he had to leave his one true love? Yeah, how can you ask a question like that at a time like this?
What? This is the perfect time to discuss the fridge logic of the story. Wind Whistler is also oblivious as to why the babies are so upset about the story, and this is actually a good point. The ponies, even the babies, face death or worse on a regular basis in real life and barely bat an eye. Why get so choked up over a story? This episode did a good job of establishing the different ponies' personalities and how they might clash in certain situations. Conflicts between the ponies were rare in the series because, realistically, when a group lives close together for an extended period of time and not kill each other, they tend to learn to tolerate each other's foibles. However, there can be times and situations when the differences become too great to be ignored. Anyway, the ponies featured all distinct personalities that played into how they dealt with the crisis at hand. Wind Whistler was a reserved intellectual, approaching things logically for the most part. Gusty was the bullheaded bruiser who took the most aggressive approach. Truly was, well, the bimbo who only opened her mouth to let something stupid escape as usual. Buttons, I think, was a mix of the other 3. This opening scene quickly establishes the personalities and dynamics of the players involved using this conversation. Gusty even proves how bullheaded she can be when she takes things too far.
Wind Whistler, it's too bad you weren't around when the Feelings Fairy was passing out feelings.
I do have feelings.
Which I think you two just proved. Yeah, by hurting him. Way to go, Buttons. What?
Jerks. We then cut to the Bush Willies running, or rather swimming, and then rolling for their lives from the episode's killer character and villain, Crunch the Rockdog, who is a giant dog-like creature made of rock. He starts singing his bad but rather amusing song about how he hates all things soft. He also destroys a swamp and turns the Bush Willies to stone. This episode was very efficient with its start. We already know our heroines and villain enough to continue forward without much exposition for a while. Back with Wind Whistler, she says to herself that she does have feelings, it's just that she's less open about expressing them. Megan and Danny join her, telling her that the others didn't mean it. Well, they did, but whatever. I'll get more into Wind Whistler's character at the end of the review. The purple Bush Willie then comes in, and this is odd as we clearly saw the blue Bush Willie escape. I guess it isn't a continuity issue since we never saw the purple Bush Willie get turned to stone, but it is a violation of Chekhov's law. And no, I will never use the stupid names the show gave the Bush Willies as a point of principle. The Bush Willie frantically tells them about what happened. Gusty is ready to go out and kick Crunch's rocky ass while Truly has to get her hat because she can't be seen without the appropriate attire. Wind Whistler tells them to remain calm, and this gets another "you have no feelings" remark out of Gusty.
I meant that we need a plan of action.
And to formulate one, I will call upon the smartest pony of each generation, Tails! Captain Planet, he's a hero. Gonna take pollution down to 0. Bright eyes! What? We have a problem. A giant dog made of rock is turning everything to stone. Have any ideas on dealing with him? Obviously, this creature is a result of the pollution caused by your unrestricted industrial expansion. Unrestricted industrial? We don't have any industry. Then how do you make electricity? An LTS reactor. LTS? That should keep her distracted for a couple minutes. G2. G2? G2 never had a TV show. And could you tell those stupid Brownies to stop calling us G2? Even the guy who played Q was calling us G2 in the documentary he bilked thousands of dollars out of people to make. We're the end of G1. Next time I'm calling Starlight. Whatever. Enjoy your mutant stone dog. G3. Hello, Wind Whistler. Hello, Kimono. We have a problem with a rock dog turning things to stone. Any suggestions? Live far away from it. It's kinda too late for that. Oh, well, I can't help you then, sadly. I'm only the smartest in my generation because the others have the hardest time surprising me on my birthday. Perhaps G3.5 has... Why, Hasbro, why have you forsaken us? Ah, Twilight, I know G4 can pull through. You read anything dealing with creatures turning things to stone? Hey, Twilight, we're talking to you here. I think a pony forgot which end her butt is and got her head stuck in the toilet. I should go help her. See you soon, Wind Whistler. Hopefully. Yeah, I got a lot of homework that really needs to get done. Have fun dealing with your late Eldritch Abomination! So, how did the conference of the Smartest Ponies go? I fear for the future, Megan. I really do. Since the conference of the Smartest Ponies went bust, Megan suggests going to see the Mood Chick. As usual, something wacky is going on in the Mushroom as the Mood Chick inhabit chase down his walking stick which has come to life.
That is a very smart stick.
Too smart if you ask me. Doesn't know its place.
Aha! Oh, he's scared.
Yes, he certainly is.
Oh, the poor little thing. Perhaps it feels unappreciated or overworked.
Unappreciated? Overworked?
Well, let it have some fun. Yeah, give it a day off.
Do that.
Well, all right. It can have a day off every time the mushrooms bloom.
It's apparently not that smart. Mushrooms never bloom. With the random antics over, Megan asks the Moon Chick about Crunch and the Purple Mountains he came from. The Moon Chick says he doesn't know anything about Crunch, but if they go to the Purple Mountains, they should speak with his elevated eminence, the Mountain King. They leave, and Habit goes back to kicking the Moon Chick's ass at checkers. The group heads across no man's land for the Purple Mountains. You have to hand one thing to G1 MLP. The animators really knew how to make backgrounds like this Bleak Valley. It's just what was on the actual cells that had the problems. They're within sight of the Purple Mountain, but Crunch is in the area. This guy really gets into his work. He's chasing after a single tiny bush woolly. The bush woolly tries to hide behind a rock, but it's actually one of the Geodude prototypes Crunch has been making and takes off after him. The purple bush woolly goes after the pink one to tell him he's being followed, but they both find themselves in front of Crunch and he stones them. So much for the bush woolies. Hey Crunch, have you ever been to a place called Furbabia? There are plenty of soft things to petrify there. Danny decides now is a good time to put Crunch through obedience training, but since he doesn't have a giant rolled up newspaper made of diamonds, Crunch just laughs at him. I wouldn't stand so close, Danny. One misplaced kick and you're gonna regret it. Yes, I went there. Wind Whistler suggests they book and Megan grabs Danny. It takes Crunch a couple seconds to realize that they split and sends the Geodude prototypes after him. Gusty, being the bullheaded one, decides simply running away isn't her style. She decides to hang back and blind him with the dust storm. The others object, but she goes through with it. However, even prototype Geodude are immune to Sandstorm, and since Gusty doesn't have the Sand Veil ability, they aren't even slowed up. Gusty decides running isn't such a bad idea after all, but runs into Crunch, who doubles as a rock and a hard place. He sucks all the plasticizer out of her to make her rock hard to end the first part. Part 2 picks up with the ponies running and Crunch the Geodude laughing at Stone Cold Gusty. Truly wants revenge, but Wind Whistler says they can't do anything for Gusty at the moment and should be more worried about their own plasticizer. Buttons and Truly tear into her for not having feelings again. However, Megan says Wind Whistler's right. Well, of course, when Megan says it, it makes sense. The Geodude army goes back on the attack, so they split. However, they find themselves trapped on a ledge. Buttons uses her winking magic to distract the Geodude while the others escape down a second ledge. Buttons then attracts the Geodude to the edge and uses her telekinesis magic to send them crashing down, along with the ledge itself on Crunch. The others run for it and wonder how Buttons is doing.
Oh, I'm sure she's fine. Buttons! Y'all did it! It doesn't take much to outsmart a rock.
They reach the Purple Mountains and wonder where they can find his elevated eminence. They happen to be standing on him as the Mountain King is literally a mountain. The Mountain King gives them the 411 on Crunch. He originally created Crunch as a guard for his Heartstone, which gives him feelings. However, he had neglected to give Crunch emotions of his own. This really makes Crunch a tragic villain. He is the way he is because he's incomplete. It also explains why he's doing what he's doing. Ignoring compassion and morals, the most efficient way to deal with a threat is to destroy it before it ever becomes a threat. That's why he was so adamant about hunting down even a single bush woolly. The one that got away could come back to steal the Heartstone. And you might wonder why he does seem to be feeling hatred and sick satisfaction, but I think that's because it's related to his purpose. He hates things that are soft, not because he feels hatred, but because they're a threat and he was created to eliminate threats. That also means he feels satisfied when a threat has been eliminated. On top of making a heartless berserker, the Mountain King had also put a piece of lava rock from the volcano of Gloom in Crunch's collar, which gives him his plasticizer sucking abilities. Apparently the witches never realized all the rocks lying around them had that kind of power. Poor dumb bitches. The only thing that can make Crunch heal is the Heartstone itself. The Mountain King lets them enter himself to get a warning. He's not sure what'll happen when it's removed, though.
Which way?
To the left.
They come to the Heartstone, which is a rock shaped like a heart. I guess there's no false advertising here. Megan has her reservations, but Wind Whistler and the Mountain King insist. She takes the Heartstone, but the Mountain King starts to go nuts now he has no feelings. They make it outside only to run to Crunch. Megan hides the Heartstone as they face him down. Truly's ready to finally get her pound of gravel. The others try to get her to stop, but Wind Whistler says go ahead. This gets some nasty reactions from the others, but she insists she couldn't care less about Truly. Crunch thinks that she's playing them, but she says that she's had it with these sentimental ponies and finds his company refreshing. Crunch does what he does best to Truly, and Wind Whistler can't help the tears rolling down her face, which gives her away to Crunch. Wind Whistler then springs the trap she'd been planning all along by acting like she wants to gain his good graces by bringing Megan, only she's actually bringing Megan in his position to use the Heartstone on him. I think the animation kind of ruins what the sequence of events was supposed to be. Wind Whistler sets Megan down so that she can shoot him with the Heartstone. It would have made more sense if Wind Whistler had kept her aloft while she got him. The whole idea was Wind Whistler was keeping Crunch's attention off of Megan until she had an opportunity to use the Heartstone, though the climax was a little rushed in general due to how short the episode was. Whatever the case, Heartstone maces Crunch right in the collar and he shrinks down to a normal puppy. We're also going by Ghostbuster rules here, so his defeat causes everything to go back to normal. Everyone's happy except Crunch. I had a hard time determining if Peter Cullen or Frank Welker were the voice of Big Crunch, but Welker is definitely the voice of Little Crunch. He's mad as hell, but Megan figures he just needs a little heart. Button breaks off a piece of the Heartstone, which is hopefully not important, and puts it in Crunch's collar. He returns to his big rocky self, but now he's able to feel and hopefully follow directions like don't petrify everything in sight. They return the Heartstone to the Mountain King, to one of those subpar songs that was clearly an afterthought. Boy, do I miss Tammy Amerson's voice when Megan sings in this series. Or hell, why not have Wind Whistler sing the song this time since Sarah Partridge is the singer? With all due respect to Bettina, she does not have the voice to sing with acoustical instruments. The Mountain King thanks them for everything and they head home. The others apologize to Wind Whistler on their way home. Wind Whistler decides to troll them a little.
Wind Whistler, we're sorry we said you had no feelings. And We want to thank you for doing what you did back there.
Why? Logic alone dictated my actions. It would have been too much trouble to carry 3 heavy stone statues all the way home. Just kidding.
Crunch the Rockdog is the only contribution to the My Little Pony cartoon by Linda Wolverton, who would go on to write the screenplay for Disney's animated adaptation of Beauty and the Beast. You know, the one that was the first animated feature film ever to be nominated for Best Picture. It's actually a shame this was Wolverton's only episode. She wrote a story that really got us into the ponies' heads. As much as I will praise Michael Reeves for bringing the series into its own, Wolverton really kicked it up to the next level. The biggest strength of the episode was Wind Whistler. Since Wolverton wrote the screenplay of Beauty and the Beast, I can't help but draw comparisons between Wind Whistler and Belle. In Beaumont's retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which is the most famous version and probably served as the inspiration for Disney's adaptation, Belle's an outsider in her family. She was a bookworm while her sisters were all frivolous idiots and her brothers were all drunkards. Disney replaced her family with the village, where the men were all drunkards and the women only cared about getting hitched to the best man they could. Wind Whistler is similar an outsider to the ponies. She prefers to weigh logic more heavily in her decisions, while the others put more trust in emotions. That's not to say emotion doesn't play a role in Wind Whistler's decision-making, as her passion for friendship will often lead her to endanger her own life to save the life of a friend. It's just that she doesn't let her emotions drive her. Wind Whistler was the most multifaceted character of the original cartoon. She was the brain, but she was also fiercely loyal and brave. And she was also very sensitive under austere exterior, which this episode showed. I personally think this comes from her passion for friendship. To hear her friends who she cares so much say such terrible things about her cut into her deeply. And that's why Wind Whistler tended to keep her feelings in check, because if a cruel joke could hurt her that badly, how could her emotions serve her well when everything was on the line? How could she trust them in making a decision that could mean life or death? She kept her emotions buried because she felt insecure with them and sought refuge in logic. At least that's what I got out of the show. There are times when I think about everyone gushing over the main characters of Friendship is Magic and how developed they are. And there are times I can only think that's the case because they're screaming their characters and doing it for a very long time. Each of the main characters in Friendship is Magic has had multiple episodes tailor-made to showcase facets of their character. Yet Wind Whistler was able to, in a couple of minutes of something unrelated to the main plot of the episode, show how layered she was without spelling it out. She simply did what she did and let her actions speak for her. That's how good her characterization was. Sarah Partridge's acting also really sold Wind Whistler. She could demonstrate Wind Whistler's various emotional states enough for the audience to understand what she was feeling while keeping them subdued. I just wish they could have taken more advantage of her singing voice in the series. The climax is a bit of a sticking point. I think it suffers from the shortness of the episode itself. It's never explained that defeating Crunch will return everything to normal, so you have to assume that they knew that already. And Wind Whistler's triumph was supposed to be that she had taken control of a situation where the advantage was to Crunch. She kept him distracted from Megan until she could make her move. That meant losing Truly, which hurt Wind Whistler deeply, but she could push on through for the win and save everyone. It was meant to show that Wind Whistler does have feelings, as demonstrated by her tears when Truly was turned to stone, but she doesn't express them as openly or rely on them as heavily, and that was what was needed to get the win against this enemy. However, it was animated in a way that made it unclear, though even Friendship is Magic hasn't hit it out of the park with its climaxes. This could have easily have been a 4-part story delving more into the interactions between Wind Whistler and Crunch. Still, for what it was, this episode was great, and I give it a rating of must-see. If you can forgive the few animation errors and rushed ending, the story is one of the strongest the franchise has ever had.
You're standing on him.